welcome back to the Paint Chronicles. Kelly here, and I am still traveling. So, we are using some more travel palettes, journals, and materials. Today, I'll be using Winsor and Newton professional half pan paints. This cute little travel pack got my attention, and I just thought it was adorable. You can fill up that one container on the right hand side with water and pour it into the lid as a cup. I did add some colors as well. I love that teal turquoise. Forget what it is exactly, but I love that one color. It just adds a little bit of flair to the palette. Today, I'm going to be painting a sunflower. It's basic, it's easy, and it's fun to do when you're on vacation. So I'm going to be using more travel style portable brushes. This is by Meeden. I don't remember exactly where I picked these up from. It's been some time now. It's a different brush than I used in the last video. Oh, and I dropped it into my water basin. Actually, what happened is the two pieces that attach to one another to make the brush longer than the shorter version is not tight enough to hold the brush in there. So I think I'm going to have to get some pliers when I get home and just pinch it gently and see if I can get it to get a more snug fit. So I went ahead and decided to try it with just half a brush. Now, keep in mind, it did come with a set of 4 brushes, so I could have gotten a different brush, but I seemed glutton for punishment. So I thought I would give this a try. Just starting out with some lemon yellow paint by Winsor and Newton. This palette was actually filled with Cotman. Winsor and Newton paint, which is a student grade paint, and I replaced the half pans with some professionals that I had, but they are still Winsor and Newton professionals. It is so much cheaper to buy the Winsor and Newton Cotman paint sketcher box is what this is called than it is with the professional paints in it. So I took a shortcut, saved some pennies, and just replaced the paint in it. I'm going to say that my petals are so short because the brush is so short. Roll with it. Humor me. Normally, I would make these petals a little bit longer, but I just felt a little cramped as I was painting these petals. And what we'll be doing is one full circle, and then I'll wait for it to dry, and then I'm going to go in and do another full circle again with a slightly different color, and then a third time, one more. Just rinse out the brush. One thing I've never noticed is how often I rinse my brush and how aggressively I rinse my brush. I'm going to have to work on that a little bit. So I did eventually grab another brush because I wasn't liking how short the other one was as just a half a brush. So I grabbed a different one, and I'm going to mix up the yellow with some orange to get a similar tone, but variance. So it gives the flower a little bit more depth. I love how this palette has these little sides that flip out, and you can see me mixing the paint on now. It's just so cute. It's just so cute. This is the first time I've actually used the palette, although I've had it for a little bit. I'll have to admit that I also packed probably way too many travel palettes, but I wanted to try them all while I was on vacation. So this was a little bit of a darker orange than I wanted, but it works, so I went with it. I was also really curious about sunflowers because we passed a field on our way to the cottage that we're at, full of sunflowers getting ready to bud. And I didn't know that sunflowers actually can be purple and red. So I looked it up on the internet, and I think I've seen sunflowers before that are red and purple, but I didn't realize that's what they were. I also found out that there's several different types of sunflowers. There's dwarf sunflowers, which can grow to approximately 3 feet, and they are normally inside a pot. And then the record breaking tallest sunflower is 30 some feet, and they are called very creatively tall sunflowers. And then there's also teddy bear sunflowers. And they're called a teddy bear sunflower because they're actually very fluffy. I saw a picture of it, and it's very different. The center of the sunflower is not your normal brown or dark brown black colors. It's actually another shade of yellow. So I'm just going in with that next layer, mixed up a little more yellow in it this time. Another thing I learned about sunflowers is that the center part of the sunflower, even when it's brown or black, is actually a gazillion little flowers. Yes, a gazillion. How many is a gazillion? I don't know. Does anybody know? Is that a real thing? I'm not sure. But it's actually made up of lots of little flower buds. Another thing I learned about sunflowers is that if you extract the oils from the flowers, which is something a friend of mine has been teaching me about, it's actually sunflower oil is actually very good for an anti-inflammatory for arthritis, and it's supposed to lower your cholesterol as well. Now, I'm not sure exactly what sunflower oil would taste like. I have had sunflower tea before, and I'm gonna have to admit it was not my favorite. It was okay, but it wasn't something I think I would grab. So just going in and touching it up just a little bit more. I just wanted to paint something that was flowery, springy, thinking of the sunshine that's coming this summer. It's so gloomy up here in Canada. We don't see the sun very often during the winter. We do have those rare days, and we treasure those days, trust me. So what I'm doing now is I'm just mixing together with some burnt sienna, a color that will go into the center. Trying not to make it a perfect circle, but a little bit of an odd shape since the petals do overlap sometimes in the center of a sunflower. But it didn't come out exactly as I had hoped. But it'll do. I'm going to go ahead and get some darker paint as well, or the burnt sienna by itself, and just drop it in there, hoping that it'll spread just a little bit and provide a more natural look. And vigorously shaking that brush again. Now I'm mixing up a little bit of green here to do my stem. Again, trying to make it not as thick as a tree trunk. And just getting that in there. Then we'll add some simple leaves. Nothing too dramatic. I think I could make this into a greeting card or just a little note for somebody's desk at work to greet them with. Apparently, before there was corn and beans way back in time, sunflowers were actually grown as a food group. Um, Again, I can't say I'd probably be a big fan of that, but I'd be all for trying it. I'm going to a smaller brush now because I'm going to dab some dark color. If I remember correctly, I'm going to use Payne's Gray and mix it up with the burnt sienna a little bit to give it a more brown tone. And then I will dab it into the center here again, just like I did burnt sienna by itself. While I'm doing this, I'm looking at two areas where it bled a little bit, bled, however you want to call it, into the yellow petals, if you can see that there. And at this time, it's driving me crazy. So I'm sitting here debating whether or not I want to try and fix it. And I decide to go for it. So I've cleaned my brush off really well. And now I'm going to try and push the part that's spreading towards the burnt sienna, the center of the flower. And it does work pretty well. Applaud. A risk that actually worked out. And then with the little bits that I couldn't get, I decided to blend it in with the petal a little bit, providing just a tiny bit of shade, a little bit of a shadow from a different petal, and blending that out. But not so much that you lose that bright, shiny yellow. And now I'm purposely going up here just so it's a little more well-rounded, even though it didn't spread up there. And there we go, guys. Thank you so much for being here for another video and watching me and spending time with me. Till the next one.